Well, we have made it to August and want to bring you the latest data here in the Austin metro area. We are starting to see a new trend in interest rates. Want to start with that. So we're looking now, let's call it 6.75. We're looking on this website. This is Freddie Mac. This is tracking a weekly adjustment, not daily, but a weekly adjustment in the mortgage rates. They last recorded last week at 6.72. However, I think we're going to see rates even lower this week. Why? Because the bond market is really starting to adjust down as they get more jobs data, inflation data, things like that. They're seeing the economy cool, and that pushes people to want to buy bonds to kind of lock in a return, which makes the bond go down. So here is the 10-year treasury as of right now, this morning, pretty flat. But if we look at the end of last week, the bonds really came down almost 20 basis points. You can see since mid-July, it has really dropped. And what that tells me is more money is flowing back into the bond market. They're trying to lock in a rate because they believe either inflation's coming down or they believe the job market's going to cool off, which means you're not going to have as much growth. Though instead of investing in Facebook, it might be good to preserve your money over in the bond market. That's what typically is going to keep interest rates lower. So pay attention to that. I would pay less attention to the big fight between the Fed or if Trump's firing some statistics person. That's all noise. All you want to watch right here is the 10-year treasury. So pay attention to that. We could be seeing interest rates starting to come lower. Here's where we are today in the first week of August in Austin. So again, we're leaning a buyer's market. Depending on what segment of the market you're in, it's going to feel like a strong buyer's market, which means there's lots of inventory and very few buyers. Maybe some other segments or some kind of hotter, more desirable areas might have a little tighter inventory. But overall, we're definitely leaning more towards a buyer's market. If we look at supply and demand, these gray bars on the bottom are 10-year average supply and 10-year average demand on the right. Clearly, we are way above even last year, which was the dotted blue line. This year, we're the solid blue line. We're about 70% more inventory than we had back in pre-pandemic 2019. So if you go back to 2019, we kind of, all the inventory dried up because everybody bought everything with the low interest rates during the pandemic. But since then, we've not only gotten back to 2019, we're about 70% more homes for sale than we saw in 2019. So very high inventory. As you can see, though, we've crested for this year. So the Q2 kind of peak of listings has passed. We're now going to see generally fewer sellers coming to market the rest of the year. Some of the inventory will sell that's already out there, and some of it's going to withdraw and expire. Sellers just don't sell, and they take their houses back off the market. So there won't be enough new sellers to overweigh that. So we're going to see the amount of supply start to trend back down. This happens every single year, pandemic or not. So we're on the backside of that bell curve. If I look over here on the right, on the demand side, again, where do we typically peak out on buyer contracts? In May. That's when or closings. So really April, May is when most buyers, the peak of buyers are writing contracts, and typically we'll peak out then. And then it's, again, same story, fewer buyers buy throughout the rest of the year. And so in May, we had just under 2,900 contracts. Back in 2019, we had 3,700. So we had about 800 more buyers a month writing offers than we do now. And that's part of why we have this supply and demand imbalance. If we look in real time, again, here's number of active versus sold listings, same story. You can see we peaked out. This is single family listings. We peaked out on those in June. We had almost 16,000 single family homes for sale. We're now down to 15,100. So again, about 800 homes have come out, but keeping in line with that is buyer activity is also coming down. So in May, we peaked out on sales around 3,100 closed sales. June, 2,900, so a little lower. And right now, we're probably still getting some data recorded, but in July, we had less than 2,500 single family home sales, and we still have 15,000 homes. So if you do the math on that, there's just way more sellers than there are buyers in a given month. I did the math last month. I think about 18% of sellers are likely to get an offer in any given month. So that means 82% of sellers are not going to get a contract offer in any one given month. So that's the disparity we're seeing in the market. Here's what that's doing to the historical sales price trend. Obviously, this was COVID. We peaked out. That's gone. What's happened every year, and I know it's hard to see, but basically each low has been a little lower, call it the winter low, and each high, meaning what price we peaked out at, here's 23, about 458. Here is 2024, about 453. And here's 2025, about 440. So again, our high prices have just been trickling down, and our low, the bottom, has been trickling down. Somewhere hidden underneath here is kind of the long-term historic appreciation average of about 4 to 5%. We were at 300,000 back at the beginning of 2020. So if it was appreciating at 5%, it's working its way up, and our prices are coming down, and at some point they're going to meet each other. And I think you'll see Austin more than stabilize at that point. It will probably start to appreciate again. But for now, we're watching that, and we're watching inventory with all the new supply of homes and rentals. The tighter we can get that, you'll see the market stabilize and start to improve. All right, well, let's talk about movement. So where are Californians, where are Austin residents coming from? Number one state, California. But they're also coming from Florida, Colorado, Louisiana, Arizona. The top origin metro areas outside the U.S. that are moving to Texas: Denver, number one. LA, Phoenix, San Francisco, Atlanta. Not a huge shock, but this is kind of where people are coming from. Top areas in Texas that are moving to Austin: it's the big boys, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, but they're also coming from the Valley, which is Brownsville, and they're coming from Killeen, which really isn't that far from here. So they're just moving into the metro area, maybe to Georgetown. That's a popular move there. Where are Austin residents when they leave moving to? Well, they're moving to Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Denver. So, there's a nice pipeline between here and Denver, both directions. So there's probably a lot of job opportunities that are driving that as well. And when Texans are leaving the state, again, there we are: Denver, Kansas City, Phoenix, San Diego, Miami. Kind of an interesting mix of cities. I would assume San Francisco's in here, but the hard part is it's just more expensive. So it's harder to go from here to there than it is from there to here. And so some of this has some affordability move on there as well. But interesting to see where people are flowing. This report just came out: 4 safest suburbs as part of the Austin metro area. This was done by Smart Assets. This was a national report, but the 4 that they identified for the Austin metro area are all on the north and east side. It's Cedar Park, Georgetown, Round Rock are kind of big 3 north suburbs, along with Taylor on the east side. Taylor's kind of out east past Hutto, and they're building a Samsung plant out there. So anyways, this is probably one of the this is Cedar Park. So anyways, hey, nice suburbs, doing well. Good to see that. Finally, we topped out this last week on the Waterline skyscraper. And so for those that aren't familiar, if you go anywhere near downtown Austin, you can't miss it now. This is the biggest building in town. This visual, we're looking south. This is I-35 right here on the left, looking south. This is all the Rainey Street stuff behind it. So basically, this tower is going to be 3 different developments all in one. This top part is condos. So this is residential. The middle part is an office tower. So that'll be commercial. And then the bottom part is a hotel. So basically, it's 3 buildings kind of all in one. It's going to be interesting. It's right across the street from the convention center. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how that fills up, what kind of demand it has. It's a really interesting time to hit the market because they're ripping the convention center down for 4 years and rebuilding it. And so we're not going to have the convention center probably rocking again until 2029 or 2030. And yet this building's coming. And so it's going to be interesting to see, especially for the hotel, what kind of energy they have on that. If you are a seller right now, pay attention. This is the bell curve. We are going to have less competition coming to market, but we're also going to have more anemic buyer activity. There's just going to be fewer buyers, less activity in the fall. The only thing that could change that, again, going back to the beginning of the video, is if we have a noticeable drop in interest rates that kind of spurs a few more buyers to take action, but we're not feeling it yet. I don't even think most buyers have paid attention to those small changes anymore. And so we're going to need to see it kind of have media sustainability of like, wow, rates have really come down. Hey, they're still down. Hey, they're still down. I think we're going to have to see that kind of energy before we see buyer activity come. So it's all about price and condition. They've got to be well in alignment. And even then, we've got to be patient because there's simply not enough buyers in the market to chew everything up quickly. Anyways, hope this was helpful. You can follow our videos each and every week. Go to our YouTube channel at Ryan Kelly Group. Click that subscribe button. And of course, if you want to invest, buy, sell, refinance in Austin, we'd love the opportunity to chat with you. Anyways, I think we got 2 weeks until school's back in session. So this is the last few weeks of the summer. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and we will talk to you next Monday. Thanks.